Hey y'all, hey. Excuse the kind of weird angle of everything. I am just kind of chilling in the cabin today. My husband went to process the deer we got yesterday. We got an 8-point buck yesterday. And my cousin has arrived. He is in the cabin next door to me. And so I'm probably going to just hang out with them today while he goes and does that. And I wanted to come to you today to talk about credit. And I was actually going to talk to you about this a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, or a week and a half ago, something like that. I was going to talk to you about it then, but I did not remember. I had so much stuff going on, I didn't remember to do the whole topic. And today I thought about it because I received an alert that my student loan has posted as closed on my credit report. And I thought that when that happened, I was going to lose a significant amount of points. I was prepared for it, and it didn't happen. I didn't lose any points. So that made the topic of credit pop back in my mind. I do want to say I am not a credit repair specialist. I'm not a credit expert. I am not any of those things. I'm just a normal, regular person that happens to have a pretty high score. And there is a specific tool that I used during my process to build my score. And I just wanted to share it with you. Some of you may already know about it, may already have used it, probably have asked questions in Google and it pointed you there. So I just wanted to go over that and just kind of like a brief overview of how the different factors that go into credit scoring have changed for me over the years, how what those factors have represented in my score getting higher. So anyway, before I start off, I want to say that credit is kind of a controversial topic. Some finance experts, like say a Dave Ramsey, will say you don't need a credit score. You know, doesn't believe in them. And that is great and all until we start talking about high dollar purchases. When we start talking about buying a house, when we start talking about buying a car, the vast majority of Americans will not be able to do so without financing. And although it would be great if everyone could just save and buy those things outright, because it would be great, and people do it. So don't get me wrong, people do that. I don't think it's realistic for the majority of Americans. And so what I have always done is, though I don't place a huge emphasis on credit per se, I do try to keep my credit score in a decent range to where if I did need something, if I did need to seek credit, that I could do so without problem. So that is how I kind of look at credit now. It's not something that I am utilizing regularly. I don't think I have even so much as applied for anything in 5 years. Probably a little over that now. So it's not that I'm stressing a credit score, but I do see the importance and the value of having a good enough credit score. And what I have found for the best rates, as long as you're over, like, I think it's like a 760 or higher, generally speaking, you can get the better rates for whatever you're seeking. So I try to make sure that my credit always stays at least above that point so that I can get the very best rates possible. And I've always found that so I understand why the rates are better for those with better credit. I get it. It's just a sad thing that the rates are so astronomically high for those who have had issues in the past, or those who are at like the cutoff point for getting approved. It seems like they get the worst rates and everything, and they're charged the most money, and generally those are the ones who need it the most. And I think that kind of sucks. I don't know. But I also know that you can actually have good credit, and you can maintain good credit without having a lot too. So that's why I see the importance of having a good score, because let's say you are in the lower income brackets, but if you have a decent score, there are things that you can do to improve your situation, in my opinion. So it gives you options. I'll say that. It gives you options. Are your options going to be limited? Yes, because your income plays a factor in getting approved for things. But it can open doors if you are responsible with it. So anyway, this is a tool that I have used, and it's available on the actual MyFico.com website. I go straight to the source for my FICO scores. No Credit Karma. Credit Karma is good for checking overall to see what's on your credit report, and etc. It can be good for that. It can be useful and to give you a general idea, but the score there is not going to be your true FICO score. And so I just go right to the source for my credit reports, because then I can see which model, because there's several models. A lot of people don't know that, which model they're going to use. There's a different model used for mortgages versus like a car versus like a credit card. And so I want to know the different models, and I can see all of my bureaus at once, which is another plus. So, and I think they offer that on Experience website too. I'm not really sure. I just use my FICO because of the tool that I use there. So I'm going to go into that, and if it's useful, great. If not, I'm sorry. But here we go. I just wanted to show you guys the different scoring models and how vastly different they are. And you will note on when you're using the MyFico website, you will get a little indicator at the top, widely used or most used or etc. And those indicators will let you know the likelihood that that's the score they're going to pull when you're either getting a car, getting a mortgage, getting anything, that this is the score that they're probably going to use in that situation. But if you want to dig deeper, then that'll be the tool that I'm going to tell you about, how to dig a little bit deeper if you want to get a better idea of which score they're going to use. And you can just see there's so many of them. I think there's an 8, 9, 10. Then you got the 2, 4, and 3, or 2, 5, and 3 for mortgages. It's just so different, and there's so many of them, which is oftentimes why I will see folks say, well, when I pulled my credit report, it said this, but then when the car company pulled it, it said that, because they're probably using a different model than the one that you're looking at. All right, now let's muddy the water even more and talk about the factors that go into your credit score, and they are vastly different, and the impact is vastly different. Your payment history, if you have any late payments, etc., that's 35% of your score. So that's the biggest impact on your score. Then how much debt you have is a huge impact on your score. I think that's 30%. Then you have your length of history, which is 15% of your score. And then you have your inquiries, or I think what they call it up here is the new credit, whether you're seeking new credit, but that's inquiries. and that is 10%. And then you have your credit mix, meaning how many different types of accounts do you have? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a loan? Do you have a car note? Do you have credit cards? Like, those are the different types of accounts, and they factor in 10%. So it's not just the fact of just having accounts on your credit report. It's the type of accounts. It's how well you've paid on them. It's the length of time you've had a credit history. It's the amount of debt that you owe on those items. And it is whether you pay them on time, all the time. And that's the craziest part to me, because it's like you can have never missed a payment, all of that good stuff, and never really achieve the highest score, because you either don't have the amount of time on your credit, the length of history, or you don't have the right mix of things. You could have like a credit report that only has credit cards, and you don't have a mortgage, or you don't have like some other loan. And then things can fall off, because after you've paid off an account, they fall off after a specified amount of time. They do not stay on your credit report forever. So once an account is paid off, it's usually 7 to 10 years. They will just fall off your average 10 years. They'll just fall off of your credit report, and then all the history that you had with that particular item falls when it falls off. So you no longer have that history. So it can make your average length of history go down. So it's a lot into this, but once you kind of figure out how it goes, you know what to expect, and you can better prepare. Now, in the more section of your account, which is indicated by a little person, I think you can put your picture there, but I never would do that. I don't want too much of my personal details on this thing. But if you click the little man in your upper right hand corner when you have an account there, it'll take you to a place called community. But I do not believe you have to have necessarily purchased a product for that to join this area. But community is basically a section that has all of these different topics. People are sharing their experiences. They're sharing how they got negative items removed. They're sharing what kind of letter they wrote. They'll even give you the forms of the letter they wrote. They'll tell you your chances of whether or not it will get removed. They'll tell you cards they applied for and their credit profile, and you can see how closely your profile matches theirs to see what your chances are to be approved. Now, you can also ask questions here and just, hey, I'm thinking about applying for this card. And people will ask you your profile, what's your score? What income do you have? What blah, 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 blah. And they can almost tell you exactly how much you're going to get approved for. It's so many. You can ask questions. You can ask for advice. And it's so many people. And you're likely to find someone that has your very close or similar profile to you. And it really was a helpful tool for me in finding cards, because they also talk about new cards that come out and the perks of them and how to use them. And it just was invaluable to me in my journey in getting my score up. And it's something that I recommend to people to go, even if you don't want to create an account there, to just look at some of the topics and questions there. You can find out so much information about, everything: repos, student loans, personal loans, bankruptcy, just so many topics there that you can just browse and look at the different questions that are asked and topics that are brought up. And you can learn so much about just everything related to credit there. And I have used that many, many times. I will continue to use it. I will go and look and see, okay, what's the new card? What's the thing that everybody's doing? Like, what are the perks? Is this something that would benefit me? So I actually still use it to this day. And so I wanted to share that, to check that out. Check out it. Like I said, even if you do not make an account, check out the different topics there. If you have a question about anything regarding credit, you can best believe somebody's asked a question before. I guarantee. Hey y'all, I am back to end this video. I have actually been out already and I'm back home. So I just wanted to go over how I utilize that FICO forums in my journey in credit. And what I did is that I would go up there to ask questions and kind of give a brief rundown of my credit profile if I wanted to apply for a card. I also use some of the strategies and tricks, because they have a section called improving your credit, and I follow some of the tips and strategies there. Now, I will say some of those people are very, very, very into credit cards. Like, there's some people there that have like 50 credit cards. No thank you for me. I'm not into having that many accounts open. So no, that is a no for me. But, and I don't like the constant inquiries either. I would rather just utilize it when I need something, or when I see something that sparks my interest. If there's something that comes out that I know that I'm going to benefit from, then I don't mind getting another card. But that's just how I've done it. I will tell you that the highest score that I have achieved, I could not achieve it without time. So basically, I had to have a long credit history, because that's what it seems to want to see, is a long demonstrated history of getting things, paying them off, or having your credit utilization remain low over a period of time, which I always thought was weird. It's like, to get a higher score, you have to obtain credit, but to get a better score, you have to show continual good payments and paying the balances down when you have like loans, mortgages, etc. So it's like, it's a balancing act. And I utilize FICO forums to ask questions when I needed to see what cards would benefit me most, so that I could make my lineup of cards. I used it to know which car, like when I wanted to get a car, which avenue would give me the better rates. And when I get cars, I generally go to my bank, get my loan before I go to a dealership to buy a car. So I get my loan, I go ahead and get my loan, and then I go pick out what I want. That's how I do my cars. But it's just been a great tool in helping me to, and also seeing the negative, seeing the bad stories, and seeing how hard it was for people to dig themselves out of a hole when, either after bankruptcy or credit hiccups, and learning how they paid those debts off. I will say, I had a car. This is one of my stories from there. I actually had a car through Wells Fargo at one point in time. I had a car loan through them, and I had a perfect credit history. But they put me as a late payment 1 month, and I never made a late payment. And I tried and I tried. I called and I called and I called, and I couldn't get them to remove that, because it was my only derogatory. This was years ago. And I couldn't get him to remove it. And I went up there and asked the question, like, what do I need to say? Who do I need to go to? Blah, blah, blah. someone up there gave me a form letter, what to say, where to send it, where the best place was to send it to get someone to look at it, someone to pay attention. And I did that, and guys, it was gone. Like, they removed that late payment. It was never really late. But I don't know. I just don't know what happened, but I could not get that thing off there. But they actually did remove it. And so it's just been a great tool for me to figure things out and make a little bit wiser moves. But just be careful, because it can also lead you to, if you spend a lot of time in the credit card forums, it can lead you to want to apply for everything. It becomes a game to some people. How many can I get? What can I get approved for? It's almost like bragging rights, and it becomes really stupid. So do not fall for that part. But if you have legitimate questions and want general direction on how to maneuver certain situations when it comes to your credit, I highly suggest checking out those forums, because they have a wealth of information there. And like I said, I guarantee you, any question you could think of, somebody has asked that question before. And you might have to word it in a specific way to get the answers that you're looking for, but you can always just ask a general question there as well and let somebody answer you, and they will respond pretty quickly. And anybody that has any degree of information about it will give you some info. So that is what I got for today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week coming up, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.